Welcome to 100 Years of Devastation in just 30 minutes, an unforgettable journey through the most shocking disasters of the past century. From earthquakes that shattered cities to storms that redefined destruction, we'll explore the events that shaped history and left lasting scars on the world. Get ready to witness the power of nature and human resilience like never before. Our planet is a dynamic place. It breathes, it trembles, it unleashes its raw power. These forces of nature reshape landscapes in the blink of an eye. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, floods, natural disasters. They remind us of our planet's immense energy and our vulnerability. For as long as humans have walked the earth, we've lived with these threats. From ancient myths to modern headlines, natural disasters shape our world. They are a testament to our planet's dual nature, life-giving and indifferent. The 20th century dawned with the roar of Krakatoa still echoing in recent memory. Earthquakes leveled cities, hurricanes swallowed coastlines, and floods inundated vast swaths of land. Each disaster left its mark on the physical landscape and the human psyche. The 1920s began with the Great Kanto earthquake in Japan, claiming over 100,000 lives. The 1927 Mississippi flood displaced hundreds of thousands. The 1931 China floods claimed millions of lives. Yet amidst the devastation, stories of resilience, courage, and compassion emerged. Ordinary people confronted extraordinary circumstances with bravery and selflessness. First responders risked their lives to save others. Communities came together to rebuild from the rubble. The human spirit, it seemed, was as indomitable as the forces that sought to break it. With each disaster, we learned more about the forces at play and the importance of preparedness. Scientists made strides in understanding the science behind these events, developing new technologies to predict and monitor them. The lessons learned from these tragedies paved the way for better building codes, early warning systems, and disaster preparedness plans. While the threat of natural disasters remains an ever-present reality, our ability to anticipate, mitigate, and respond to them continues to evolve. Our journey through a century of disasters is a testament to both the destructive power of nature and the enduring spirit of humanity. The year 1931 brought a calamity of unimaginable proportions to China. The Yangtze and Huai rivers transformed into instruments of unimaginable destruction. Intense monsoon rains swelled the rivers beyond their banks, unleashing a deluge. The floods ravaged an area the size of England and drowned millions of acres of farmland. Cities like Nanjing were overwhelmed by the rising waters. Millions were displaced, their homes and livelihoods swept away. The floodwaters carried disease and famine, amplifying the catastrophe. The 1935 Quetta earthquake. Just 4 years after the devastating China floods, another natural disaster shook the world. On May 31, 1935, the city of Quetta, nestled in the Baluchistan region of what is now Pakistan, was struck by a powerful earthquake. The quake, registering a magnitude of 7.7, reduced the once bustling city to rubble in a matter of seconds. The earthquake's epicenter was located directly beneath Quetta, amplifying its destructive force. Buildings crumbled, burying thousands beneath their wreckage. The tremors triggered landslides that cascaded down the surrounding hills, further burying the city and hampering rescue efforts. The air filled with the dust of pulverized concrete and the cries of survivors searching for loved ones. The 1935 Quetta earthquake underscored the unpredictable nature of seismic events and their devastating consequences. The disaster left an indelible mark on the region, both physically and emotionally. The loss of life, estimated at tens of thousands, served as a grim reminder of the constant threat posed by earthquakes, particularly in seismically active zones. The Yangtze's sorrow endures the 1938 Yellow River flood. As if the 1931 floods were not enough, the Yangtze River Basin faced yet another watery catastrophe in 1931. This time, however, the disaster was not solely the result of natural forces. As Japanese forces advanced during the Second Sino-Japanese War, the Chinese nationalist government made a desperate and devastating decision. In a controversial act of war, they breached the dikes holding back the Yellow River, hoping to halt the Japanese advance. The result was a catastrophic flood that inundated millions of acres of farmland and displaced millions of people. While the flood did slow the Japanese offensive, it came at an immeasurable human cost. The 1938 Yellow River flood, a man-made disaster born out of conflict, compounded the suffering of a nation already reeling from war and natural calamities. It served as a reminder of the devastating consequences of human actions intertwining with the forces of nature. The 1944 Vesuvius eruption. In the shadow of World War II, another disaster unfolded, this time on the European continent. Mount Vesuvius, the infamous volcano that buried Pompeii and Herculaneum in 79 AD, roared back to life in March 1944. The eruption, while not as cataclysmic as its ancient counterpart, brought with it its own share of destruction and disruption. Lava flows cascaded down the slopes of the volcano, engulfing villages and farmland. Ash and volcanic debris rained down on Naples and surrounding areas, blanketing the city in a thick layer of gray. The eruption forced the evacuation of thousands and caused significant damage to infrastructure and agriculture. The 1944 Vesuvius eruption was a reminder that even in the midst of global conflict, the Earth's natural forces continued unabated. It highlighted the vulnerability of populations living in close proximity to active volcanoes and the importance of monitoring and preparedness in mitigating the risks of volcanic eruptions. The aftermath of disaster. The period from 1920 to 1950 bore witness to a relentless series of natural disasters that left an indelible mark on the globe. From the devastating floods in China to the earthquake that shattered Quetta, these events highlighted the immense power of nature and the fragility of human societies in the face of such catastrophic forces. The aftermath of these disasters brought with it not just physical rebuilding but also a profound emotional toll. The loss of life, the displacement, the destruction of homes and livelihoods, these tragedies left scars on individuals, communities, and entire nations. The world was left grappling with the question of how to better prepare for and mitigate the impacts of future disasters. These events served as a stark reminder that natural disasters are not merely isolated incidents, they are an inherent part of our planet's dynamic nature. The challenge for humanity, then and now, is to learn from these events and develop strategies to coexist with the Earth's awesome and sometimes destructive power. Early warning systems emerge. Even in the face of tragedy, the human spirit of innovation and resilience began to shine through. The devastating disasters of the early 20th century underscored the urgent need for better preparedness and mitigation strategies. Scientists and engineers began to explore new ways to predict and monitor natural hazards, laying the groundwork for early warning systems. The development of seismographs, for example, allowed for more accurate measurement and understanding of earthquakes. Meteorologists made strides in tracking weather patterns, improving forecasting capabilities for hurricanes and cyclones. While these early warning systems were still in their infancy, they represented a crucial step towards reducing the human cost of natural disasters. These early advancements in disaster prediction and monitoring planted the seeds for what would become a global effort to develop more sophisticated and effective early warning systems. The lessons learned from the tragedies of the past fueled a desire to better protect future generations from the devastating impacts of natural disasters. The 1960 Valdivia earthquake. The year 1960 began with a seismic shockwave that reverberated across the globe. On May 22nd, the largest earthquake ever recorded struck off the coast of Chile, near the city of Valdivia. This colossal tremor, registering a staggering 9.5 on the moment magnitude scale, unleashed the pent-up energy of the Earth's tectonic plates with terrifying force. The quake, which lasted for an agonizing 10 minutes, generated a tsunami that raced across the Pacific Ocean, reaching heights of up to 80 feet. Coastal communities in Chile were devastated, with waves obliterating entire towns and villages. The tsunami continued its destructive journey, striking Hawaii, Japan, and the Philippines, causing widespread damage and loss of life. The 1960 Valdivia earthquake, a stark reminder of the immense power hidden beneath our feet, reshaped scientific understanding of earthquakes and their far-reaching consequences. The global impact of the tsunami highlighted the interconnectedness of our planet and the need for international cooperation in disaster preparedness and response. The wrath of Hurricane Camille. Just a decade later, in August 1969, the Gulf Coast of the United States faced the unbridled fury of Hurricane Camille. This Category 5 hurricane, one of the most intense Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded, slammed into Mississippi with winds exceeding 200 miles per hour. The storm surge, a towering wall of water pushed ashore by the hurricane's force, reached a staggering 24 feet, inundating coastal communities and causing catastrophic damage. Camille's impact was felt far beyond the coast. The hurricane's torrential rains, dumping over 20 inches in some areas, caused widespread flooding and landslides as it moved inland. The storm's destructive path stretched from the Gulf Coast to the Appalachian Mountains, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Hurricane Camille, a storm of almost unimaginable intensity, brought into sharp focus the vulnerability of coastal regions to the destructive power of hurricanes. The storm's devastating impact underscored the importance of accurate forecasting, effective evacuation procedures, and resilient infrastructure in mitigating the human cost of such extreme weather events. The 1970 Huascaran Avalanche. In a tragic confluence of events, a massive earthquake in Peru in 1970 triggered one of the deadliest natural disasters in the region's history. The earthquake, registering a magnitude of 7.9, struck off the coast of Peru, unleashing a devastating tsunami that ravaged coastal communities. But the earthquake's aftershocks had an even more catastrophic consequence high in the Andes Mountains. The tremors triggered a massive avalanche on Mount Huascaran, Peru's highest peak. A colossal mass of ice, snow, and rock, estimated at over 50 million cubic meters, broke loose and thundered down the mountainside at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. The avalanche buried the towns of Yungay and Ranrahirca, killing an estimated 20,000 people in a matter of minutes. The 1970 Huascaran avalanche, a stark illustration of the interconnectedness of natural disasters, highlighted the challenges of mitigating risks in mountainous regions prone to seismic activity. The tragedy underscored the importance of understanding the complex interplay between earthquakes, avalanches, and other natural hazards in developing effective disaster risk reduction strategies. The year 1976 brought with it another devastating earthquake, this time striking the industrial city of Tangshan in northeastern China. On July 28, a massive earthquake, estimated at magnitude 7.5, ripped through the heart of the city, reducing much of it to rubble in a matter of seconds. The timing of the earthquake, occurring in the early morning hours, compounded the tragedy, catching many residents off guard as they slept. The official death toll from the Tangshan earthquake was reported at over 240,000, making it one of the deadliest earthquakes of the 20th century. However, some estimates place the actual number of casualties significantly higher. The earthquake's impact on Tangshan was catastrophic, crippling its industrial infrastructure and leaving hundreds of thousands homeless. The Great Tangshan earthquake, a stark reminder of the destructive power of seismic events, exposed vulnerabilities in building codes and disaster preparedness in rapidly urbanizing areas. The tragedy spurred efforts to improve earthquake-resistant construction and enhance early warning systems in China and other seismically active regions. The 1976 Guatemala earthquake. Just months after the Tangshan earthquake, another devastating tremor struck, this time in Central America. On February 4, 1976, a powerful earthquake, measuring 7.5 on the Richter scale, ripped through Guatemala, causing widespread destruction and claiming the lives of over 23,000 people. The earthquake's epicenter was located some 100 miles northeast of Guatemala City, but its impact was felt across the country. The earthquake's force toppled buildings, triggered landslides, and ruptured infrastructure, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Rural communities, often located in areas prone to landslides and with limited access to healthcare, were particularly hard hit. The disaster compounded existing social and economic challenges in Guatemala, hindering the country's development for years to come. The 1976 Guatemala earthquake, a stark reminder of the ever-present threat of seismic activity, highlighted the importance of building resilience in vulnerable communities. The disaster underscored the need for robust infrastructure, effective disaster preparedness plans, and timely humanitarian assistance in mitigating the human cost of earthquakes. 1977 Tenerife Airport disaster. On March 27, 1977, the world witnessed the deadliest aviation accident in history at Tenerife Airport in the Canary Islands. Two Boeing 747 jumbo jets collided on the runway in dense fog, killing 583 people. Miscommunication between the pilots and air traffic control, combined with the challenging weather conditions, led to this horrific tragedy. The disaster revolutionized safety protocols in air traffic communication. In August 1979, a powerful storm struck the Fastnet Race, an annual yacht race in the Irish Sea. Of the 306 yachts that participated, 24 were abandoned or sunk, and 15 sailors lost their lives. It was one of the worst disasters in modern sailing history and highlighted the unpredictability of weather at sea, leading to improved safety protocols in competitive yachting. From devastation to innovation advances in disaster response. The period from 1950 to 1980 witnessed a series of catastrophic natural disasters that tested human resilience. Amidst the devastation, a spirit of innovation and awareness of disaster preparedness emerged. Scientists and engineers developed technologies to predict and monitor natural hazards, and strategies to mitigate their impact. Weather satellites revolutionized hurricane forecasting, and advances in seismology led to early warning systems for earthquakes. These lessons spurred a global movement towards more effective disaster risk reduction, paving the way for resilient infrastructure and coordinated response efforts. On May 18, 1980, the world watched in shock as Mount St. Helens in Washington state erupted violently. The explosion sent ash into the stratosphere and caused the largest debris avalanche in recorded history. The blast devastated nearby forests, killing 57 people and leaving the region in a state of environmental and economic ruin. The eruption was a stark reminder of the destructive power of volcanoes. The 1985 Mexico City earthquake. On September 19, 1985, Mexico City faced an 8.0 magnitude earthquake. The quake toppled buildings, burying residents under tons of rubble. The soft soil beneath the city amplified the seismic waves, turning structures into deadly traps. Hospitals, schools, and apartment blocks crumbled, trapping countless people. The city was plunged into chaos and despair, with cries of survivors and frantic rescuers. The earthquake exposed the limitations of building codes and emergency preparedness. This disaster spurred a global push for improved building practices and disaster response strategies. Bhopal, a man-made catastrophe. In December 3, 1984, a toxic gas leak at the Union Carbide plant in Bhopal, India, unleashed a silent killer. Methyl isocyanate escaped, forming a deadly cloud that enveloped neighborhoods. Thousands inhaled the lethal gas, many dying in their sleep or stumbling onto the streets. The Bhopal gas tragedy exposed the catastrophic consequences of lax safety regulations. It left a legacy of chronic health problems and environmental contamination. Bhopal remains a stark reminder of the devastating potential of industrial negligence. In 1991, the world witnessed one of the largest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century when Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines exploded. The eruption spewed massive amounts of ash and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, resulting in global temperature drops for the following years. Over 800 people died and tens of thousands were displaced, leaving an indelible mark on the Philippines. It left a legacy of chronic health problems and environmental contamination. Bhopal remains a stark reminder of the devastating potential of industrial negligence. Nature's fury unleashed. Hurricane Andrew's wrath. In August 1992, Hurricane Andrew, a Category 5 storm, hit South Florida. With winds over 165 miles per hour, Andrew reduced neighborhoods to rubble. The storm surge inundated coastal areas, sweeping away homes and businesses. Andrew's destructive path left behind shattered homes, flooded streets, and uprooted trees. The economic toll was staggering, making Andrew one of the costliest hurricanes in U.S. history. The storm exposed vulnerabilities in building codes and disaster preparedness. Its aftermath led to significant improvements in hurricane resilience. Beneath the surface, the 1994 Northridge earthquake. On January 17, 1994, Los Angeles was jolted by a magnitude 6.7 earthquake. Freeways buckled, bridges collapsed, and buildings swayed as the ground shook. The quake caused widespread damage to infrastructure, homes, and businesses. The Northridge earthquake highlighted the importance of earthquake-resistant construction and early warning systems. It spurred a reassessment of seismic safety standards in California. In 1997, a massive flooding event in Central Europe affected countries like Poland, the Czech Republic, and Germany. Known as the Oder flood, it was caused by heavy rains that led to rivers overflowing. Over 100 people lost their lives, and entire towns were submerged, with damages exceeding $4.5 billion. This event marked one of the worst natural disasters in Central Europe in modern times. In December 1999, Venezuela faced a horrific natural disaster when intense rains caused landslides and flash floods in the coastal state of Vargas. Entire neighborhoods were buried under tons of mud and debris, with official death tolls ranging between 10,000 and 30,000. This catastrophic event wiped out communities and became one of the deadliest natural disasters in Venezuelan history. A wall of water. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. On December 26, 2004, a massive undersea earthquake off Sumatra triggered devastating tsunamis. The tsunamis, reaching heights of up to 100 feet, slammed into coastal communities. The disaster claimed over 230,000 lives from more than 14 countries. It highlighted the global threat posed by tsunamis and the need for robust early warning systems. One of the costliest hurricanes to ever hit the United States, Hurricane Katrina ravaged the Gulf Coast, particularly New Orleans. Over 1,800 lives were lost, and the storm caused an estimated $125 billion in damages. Levee failures, floods, and a slow government response turned this into one of the worst humanitarian disasters in U.S. history. Haiti was brought to its knees in 2010 when a 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck near the capital city, Port-au-Prince. More than 300,000 people were killed, and over 1 million were displaced. The disaster exposed the country's vulnerability, resulting in an international humanitarian crisis. In 2011, Japan was struck by one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded, 9.0 magnitude, which triggered a massive tsunami. This caused widespread devastation, including the Fukushima nuclear disaster, as well as the deaths of over 15,000 people. It remains a chilling reminder of the power of nature and the vulnerabilities of nuclear energy. The Black Summer bushfires of 2019 to 2020 ravaged Australia, scorching over 46 million acres of land and destroying thousands of homes. Nearly 3 billion animals were affected, with entire ecosystems at risk of extinction. The fires were a stark warning of the consequences of climate change. Lessons learned, challenges ahead. Disaster preparedness in a changing world. From the earthquake-prone cities to hurricane-battered coasts, disasters left an indelible mark on global consciousness. Natural disasters are a constant threat, amplified by climate change, population growth, and urbanization. The lessons learned spurred a global movement towards more effective disaster risk reduction. Climate change adds complexity to disaster preparedness. The interconnectedness of our world means that natural disasters can have far-reaching consequences. The task is to continue learning, embrace innovation, and build more resilient communities. The rise of prediction, a new era of disaster forecasting. The 21st century ushered in a new era of disaster forecasting. Scientists made significant strides in predicting natural hazards. Supercomputers and advanced algorithms developed complex climate models. A global network of satellites revolutionized real-time Earth monitoring. Meteorologists tracked hurricanes with unprecedented accuracy. Seismologists improved their ability to forecast aftershocks and assess seismic risks. This data-driven approach enabled early warning systems, potentially saving countless lives. The power of data, harnessing technology for disaster resilience. Technology enhanced disaster resilience beyond prediction. Mobile phones and the internet provided new avenues for communication during emergencies. Social media platforms became vital tools for real-time updates and rescue efforts. Geographic Information Systems, GIS, visualized and analyzed disaster data. Emergency responders used GIS maps for efficient resource deployment. Drone technology revolutionized disaster response with rapid damage assessment. Drones delivered essential supplies to remote areas, providing a lifeline to those in need. The human element, community engagement and disaster risk reduction. The 21st century highlighted the importance of the human element in disaster risk reduction. Communities became essential partners in building resilience. Community-based disaster preparedness programs gained traction worldwide. These programs empowered communities to develop tailored preparedness plans. Education and awareness-raising campaigns became key priorities. Empowering individuals and communities with knowledge and skills reduced vulnerability and built a more resilient society. The unfinished journey, navigating the future of natural disasters. Climate change poses a significant challenge to disaster risk reduction. The increasing frequency and intensity of natural disasters require a proactive approach. The interconnectedness of our world means that natural disasters can have cascading effects. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the need for greater international cooperation. The path forward requires integrating technology, community engagement, and international collaboration. Investing in research and development improves disaster prediction and resilience. Fostering global partnerships and sharing knowledge is essential for a safer future. The lessons of resilience. From the floods of 1930s China to the tremors of Mexico City, one constant emerges: the indomitable spirit of humanity. People find the strength to rebuild and innovate, forging a path toward a safer future. Each disaster, though marked by loss, has yielded invaluable lessons. We've learned that the Earth's systems are interconnected and that human factors amplify the impact of these events. Amidst the rubble, stories of courage, compassion, and resilience remind us that hope endures. The imperative of preparedness. We live on a dynamic planet, subject to forces beyond our control. While we cannot prevent natural disasters, we can mitigate their impact. Investing in resilient infrastructure is paramount. Buildings designed to withstand earthquakes and early warning systems are essential tools. These measures, while requiring investment, pale in comparison to the costs of inaction. Fostering a culture of preparedness is equally important. Educating the public about risks and promoting preparedness plans can make the difference between life and death. Our shared destiny on a dynamic planet. As we look to the future, the challenges posed by natural disasters are likely to become even more complex. Climate change, driven by human activity, is already exacerbating extreme weather events. Rising sea levels threaten coastal communities worldwide. Addressing these challenges requires a global effort. International cooperation and sustainable practices are essential for mitigating climate change. Our planet, a place of awe-inspiring beauty and terrifying power, is the only home we have. It is our responsibility to learn from the lessons of the past and embrace preparedness. Are you prepared for the next big disaster? Let's start a conversation.